Alright, hi everyone, Joey V from GeekWatch here, welcoming you back to the Darksiders 2 full play. This is episode 26, and we're going to finish up stuff on Earth so that we can get back to heaven. Yeah, I know, that sounds like a pretty weird statement, but I stand by it. In this episode, we're getting the last piece of the Staff of Arafil. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Whatever. We're getting the third piece of that, and then once we get that, we can return back to heaven, and then we can finish, and we can start working on stuff for the Archon, and hopefully after that happens, we can get the key to the Well of Souls, at least half of the key, or one of two keys, however you want to look at it. You know, half, one of, don't matter. Still pretty much the same stuff. We're continuing to play this game like it was Gears of War 3. We're just going around shotgunning everything that comes close to us, and every time an enemy comes in, you hear the boom, and that's that. Yeah, that you hear that. And then the music gets. Oh, there's more enemies. Like I said in the previous episode, it's not the most inspired level, but it is a level. And to be fair, it is one of the more fun things I've done in this game. I'm going through. There's a reason for me to be here. It is essentially a dungeon, but kind of a dungeon light, and that's okay. I'm okay with that. You know, and it's funny because this is kind of like a dank area. It's dark. It's not very colorful. It's very, very plain. And yet this is the stuff that I'm interested in. And I don't know why that is. By all accounts, you know, the beautiful, gorgeous areas of the Makers and the very colorful, you know, cool lighting of the City of the Dead should be enough to get me through, and it's just wasn't, and it was interesting. It's a weird way to think about it, but I really I think it's expectations. Expectations will color your, you know, thoughts of a game pretty radically, and you know, the difference between expectations and what a game eventually ends up being. It's not a clear-cut case of like, oh, like there are some people out there that really like Darksiders 2, and I have no doubts that they are out there, and I think that's cool that they enjoy it. They may have come in with the expectations that, you know, hey, you know, it's an action RPG, whatever, and just like had no major expectations about this, and that's fine. But you know, I think if you came in with high expectations, it's a very logical place you could go where you go, you know what, this was just not the game I had anticipated, this is not something that I wanted, and you know, they kind of dropped the ball. It's not necessarily a guarantee though, you know, but I think the thing with Darksiders is currently, by the time, like when this video is being uploaded, the week that it's being uploaded, the new Devil May Cry game comes out for the reboot, and you know that game is getting very, kind of random scores. Some people think it's great, some people think it's average, some people think it's dog shit, and it's all based on perception and expectations. There are some who are not huge Devil May Cry fans, you know, who did not play much of Devil May Cry 1 and Devil May Cry 2, 3, etc. And you know, I'm not saying all of them feel this way, but there are a good chunk of people that say, you know what, wow, I was really impressed by the new Devil May Cry. You know, and then there's other people out there who go, you know, it's very juvenile, it's kind of ridiculous, it takes itself too seriously, you know, it's, you know, it kind of sets, we're out here trying to fight that video games are art, and Devil May Cry, throws us back into the like man, the boyish fantasy of, you know, blood, guts, and tits. You know, like, you know, so some people look at Devil May Cry like that. And then there's other people that look at Devil May Cry and say, well, this is not the Devil May Cry that there was originally, and I'm just not going to like it, period. You know, there is a point with some of the Darksiders stuff where you're going to be like, you know, I came in with such high expectations about what this game should be that when I play it, I'm not impressed because it's not what it should be. And you want to be able to you know, disassociate, like, you know, to distance yourself from that kind of thinking. You want to be able to say, no, it's, you know, it's good on its own merit. It has, you know, it has this going for it. You know, we're not just looking for the same thing. You know, this is an evolution of a game, you know, and to an extent that's true, but it depends on the person you are. The example that I always use is that in music, there are bands that you want to see evolve. For example, the Killers had a great first album, Hot Fuzz, amazing album. I was super excited to see what their second and third album would bring. And when it was, you know, when it was drastically different from the first album, I didn't like it. Because I was like, oh, I was like waiting for like a small evolve. Like I wanted them to keep the core of what they were and then kind of add in a little bit here and there. Whereas other bands, like, let's take Static X. They make, you know, really loud, angry, heavy metal. I don't want them to ever change. I want every single album to essentially be just like the last. I don't want them to evolve. I want them to play fucking badass heavy metal at all times, and that's it. You know, Darksiders, in my opinion, I wanted the small evolution. I wanted the tiny evolution. I didn't want the drastically changed game, and I feel like that's what I got. So, you know, whereas if I had just come in and said, well, Darksiders 2 will be whatever it is, I may have looked at it differently, you know, but I came in with such high expectations about what it was going to be, and, you know, I didn't feel like it had done that. So it's interesting how different people look at different games and what that means. So it was, you know, it's and just how much hype a game can get, and how it may not live up to it. Like I just thought there was so much Darksiders coverage that I didn't know how they could possibly live up to it. And truth be told, they didn't. There are tons of games though that have that issue. There are games that are fantastic that will never live up to their hype. You know, that will just not sell for X, Y, and Z reasons. It's a fickle and odd combination. You know, I'm trying to think of a game that I thought was amazing, but just didn't really sell well. Oh, you know, I really thought Darkness 2 was a fantastic game, but it sold like ass. Same thing with Syndicate. Syndicate was a great game, but it sold like ass. And why did it do that? Well, who knows? You know, like I came in with super high expectations for Darkness 2, and it met every single one of them. But did it meet every single one of them because I was willing to overlook some of the other oddities? Maybe. I guess what I'm trying to say is, and it's been kind of a long-winded speech about this, is that you just never know how a game is going to get received until you play it, until you see how others have received it. You know, there's always part of you. You know, I'm going to look back on Darksiders 2 and I'm going to look at it as a disappointment, but I'm still going to have enjoyed my time with it. Nonetheless, there's going to be parts that I've had a lot of fun with. You know, I love the sense of scale that Darksiders 2 has. I love the art style. I love the world that these characters inhabit. There are some things that I wish were different, but I still enjoy my time with it. And, you know, hopefully, I really hope that we get another go with it. I hope we get another go with Darksiders, and that we get to continue to move around this world. But we just don't know. We just don't know. So, and you know what? That might be the game where people... That might be the game where, because people's expectations are lowered, that comes out of the woodwork. Because, you know, Darksiders 1 was such a fantastic game, but it was also way under the radar. Like, you know, no one was boldly talking about that game. No one. But it became a cult classic just because of people being like, hey man, you should really play Darksiders. But then, you know, Darksiders 2 came out and everyone's like, you know, and it's like, oh... Another great example of kind of the predicament that Darksiders found itself in is very much like the movie The Mummy. The Mummy was a cult classic. You know, it was a movie that was kind of tongue-in-cheek, kind of took itself seriously, but in like a ridiculous way. And, you know, and then they made The Mummy 2, and this, you know, the sequel to it, and it was good, but it wasn't as good as the first because it felt like they were trying a little too hard. Like what came naturally to them the first time around didn't come so naturally the second time around. And, you know, Darksiders may have come up with that. Now, you know, in terms of Darksiders, they may have to go to back to the drawing board, and they may need to give it to somebody else. And maybe that third one, when it has very low expectations of people being like, oh, who knows? Like, maybe that's when it comes in and it's like, wow, this is going to be awesome. Maybe. Don't know. I have no idea. You know, similar stuff this past year, people had little to no expectations about Far Cry 3, and it turned out to be one of the best games of 2012. People didn't know what to expect from XCOM. XCOM turned out great. People had low expectations about Walking Dead because of the shitty nature of the Jurassic Park episodic game and Back to the Future, and then wha-bam, Walking Dead is one of the best gaming experiences that we've had. You just don't know. Expectations can be a real bitch, and I feel like when we keep the expectations low, in general, I think if you keep the expectations low and don't overpromise, I think that's when you're going to get a good game. You know, Mass Effect 3. I love Mass Effect 3. I think it's a great game. I love the entire series, but you know, there are some people that are still kind of butthurt about all of it. And one of the, you know, I just remember, like, after that ending and after that game came out, everyone was pointing to all these ridiculous press releases and all these interviews that the team had done, being like, oh, you guys promised us this, and it's like, you know, don't overpromise, underpromise. You know, it's tough. You know, for every, you know, if people may look at games like Portal 2 and be like, oh, well, you know, that was a sequel that lived up to the hype, and it's like, yeah, it did, and it was great, but you know how rare that is? You know how hard it is to pull that off? Like, it's so hard for Valve to pull that off. And even, you know, people that love Half-Life 2, you know, at the time, there were a ton of people that hated that game. Or, like, you know, or hated the episodes. Like, you know, episode 1 and episode 2 that came out after Half-Life. So, I mean, it's tough. It's tough. You know, you just never know how your sequel's going to get.
Lord of Arafel has been made whole.
You never know how your sequel is going to be looked at.
I fear the Destroyer would capture it again and turn it to his dark purpose. No, better that you remove it from this world and into the safe keeping of the White Army. We will make our stand here, until the Hellguard is no more.
I would stand with you, Uriel. My brother's fate takes me on another path.
You have proven yourself honorable, a virtue little known with your kind. But if I ever see him, war must answer for his crimes.
He could not have brought this upon the earth, and I will see my brother spared.
Do what you will, Ryder. But this world is lost, and that cannot be undone.
And what of the Hellguard, Uriel? Will blade dull eventually?
That's what I'm counting on. The demons will suffer all the more when we force the blade home.
Wah! So, I guess what I've been trying to say this episode is that you never know how your sequels are going to be looked at. So, you can just hope for the best, and hope that your fans go with you on it. And we shall see what happens if a Darksiders 3 ever shows up. Saints Row wasn't. Saints Row was kind of a joke, and then Saints Row the Third came out, and it was pretty much amazing. So maybe the third time around is a charm. Took Far Cry 3 tries. Maybe the third time for Darksiders is what they're looking for.
You just might get it.
The Rod of Arathar. I have been waiting so long.
Hey guys, spoilers. The Archon is crazy pants. He's gonna try and betray us.
You should have no problem clearing a path into your city.
A path? No. I will clear the entire realm. I will burn away the shadows with holy light.
So we have to go here for our next dungeon. And I don't want to...
If you are to reach the Citadel, you will need wings.
I don't want to spoil too much for you guys, but the portal gun is coming back. If you guys remember and love the portal, the Darksiders portal gun, the Voidwalker, it's coming back for this next dungeon. So we'll have to use it a ton. Because, what makes action RPGs better than a portal gun? So yeah, that's coming up in tomorrow's episode. Tomorrow's episode is a doozy. It is long.
He still wanders
and
he can help you end your quest.
Oh, see, I know you're trying to kill me. I should just kill you right now. But anyways. So yeah, so that's coming up. Please tune in tomorrow. Like, subscribe, spread the word. Let us know what you think about all the episodes. And don't forget, tomorrow is Friday. That is the last. So we're spawning into Friday with this week. Next week we should be going back to our normal schedule. Should be Monday through Thursday. But if that changes, make sure that you are a fan of Geek Watch on Facebook. It's G33K Watch. And also check the geekwatch.com website for any updates. And they'll also be on Twitter as well. So keep track of the social media so that you know when the next episodes are coming out. Next week will be Far Cry 3. So you do not want to miss that. That will be a fucking blast. And yeah, so that's what we have for this episode. Thanks very much for watching. And we'll see you tomorrow with the entire Ivory Citadel dungeon completed for you. Alright guys, I'll talk to you later. Have a good one.